you for joining me on this final stretch of my walk. I'm on a road here known as the Hangman's Road, and that will take me out of Glenlivet. And I'll be looking at an ancient priest college which is hidden away in the hills not too far from here. Quite an amazing place, really. We'll also call in at Tomintoul, and I'll be learning something of the running of a traditional Highland estate, and that's in Glenavon, so I hope you'll stay with me. And what a fabulous day for walking. Sunny, as you can see, but it was quite breezy too and not too warm. That's Blairfindie Castle. It's now closed to the public. It's becoming rather dangerous. The old Hangman's Road there and the Cairngorms beyond. These are old pack-horse bridges at Glenlivet, and they actually survived the muckle spates of 1829. The famous white ducks of the Glenlivet distillery. Well, we're still in whisky country here, and although lots of the distilleries use Glenlivet in their titles, Tomintoul is one of the few which is actually on the banks of the Livet. Tombay Farm, beautifully restored by Gordon and Jane Mackay. So long have you been at Tombay, Gordon?
Well, we bought it in 1979, and we've just worked away gathering slates, and granite lintels and stones and such like ever since.
Yeah, just you and your wife doing all that?
Mostly hard work, yes.
Yeah. You've actually taken it a lot further than most people. I mean, most people buying a place as they get it into a sort of reasonable order, but you've taken it a lot further, haven't you?
Well, we've tried to do our best with it and make it look nice.
You actually won an award for it, didn't you?
Yes, we won the second prize at the Countryside Commission.
What kind of farming do you do here, Gordon?
I'm a sheep farmer.
It's all sheep, is it?
Yes.
I think it's pretty obvious that people driving through an area like this, especially in the summer, they see it as being very beautiful and idyllic and romantic. But is farming difficult? Is it a hard way to make a living in a glen like this?
Well, it's difficult in the winter time. We you know, a long, hard winter, and the springs are seem to be very, very hard. But come the summertime, it changes and the glen lights up, and it's just completely different.
Yeah. This is the modern way of cutting peat. It's a far cry from the methods used by the crofting families with their tarishkers and creels. And if you don't know what a tarishker is, it's a peat spade. These soggy sausages are left to dry before cutting and bagging up for dispatch. I'm in Chapelton of Glenlivet now, and I've come here to meet a man who was a considerable big wheel with NATO, but is now thoroughly enjoying his retirement in this lovely spot. He's Sir Edward Peck. Sir Edward, hello.
Hello, Jimmy.
Nice to see you. You take a great deal of interest in this area, and I've been told that you know a great deal about it indeed.
I shouldn't say that. I've studied it a bit, but this is a remarkably interesting historical area because it is the centre of the Catholic community of the Braes, who were protected up to a point during the whole of the 18th century by the Duke of York, himself a Catholic.
So those people would almost be refugees after the early rebellion, the 1715 rebellion?
Yes, I would say they were, in a sense, refugees, because they were raided half a dozen times during the 18th century by the Hanoverian soldiers, both after the 15 and up to the 45, and indeed after the 45. But they existed as a very tight community up at Scallan, which we shall see later, till 1799, when the restrictions on Catholics were relaxed, and they moved down to near Aberdeen, and subsequently became Blair's College, Aberdeen, which has just been closed a few months ago.
Well, is Scallan far away from here? I mean, can we walk up and see it?
Easily, it's only a mile or so.
Good,
Shall we
good.
go? What a noise those crows are making.
It's fantastic. The jackdaws as well.
They say they're on the lookout for illicit stills, is it?
Well, there used to be a dead giveaway in the old days, apparently, where the stills were.
Was it really?
The crows made the noise when the excisemen appeared. Thanks.
In you go. Now we go up this way, I think.
Oh, yes, okay. So what distillery is this one here?
Ah, this is the Braes of Glenlivet distillery. It must be the newest and the highest in the Glen. I think it was built in 1973, and it was given an architectural award. You see that it's tried to imitate the saddleback roof of the church. It's also got the traditional pagoda drying chimney, but I don't think it serves any purpose except decoration.
Yes, it's nice that they made the effort, though, to make the thing look traditional, even if it's working on a different principle now.
Yes, I think it's not bad, though it looks a bit out of place in this remote bit of the Glen.
And these, of course, are very much out of place too, handsome as they are. They're Highlanders, and the natives here are the Black Aberdeen Angus.
Now we've got to the end of the tarmac, and we're going to turn up the rough lane to Scallan. I think this farm is called Eskimulloch.
Eskimulloch. Well, Esk usually means something to do with water, and Mulloch, what's
whiskey,
that?
yes.
Oh, whiskey, yeah.
Yes.
Whiskey, yeah.
Mulloch, I think that's something to do with a little hillock.
Yeah, a hill, yeah. I'm always glad to leave the tarmac behind anyway.
Yes.
Now, about here, one would expect to be able to see Scallan, because we're quite close to it now, aren't we? What?
Indeed, you see, it's no higher than this, but there's a low hill there, and another 3/4 of a mile on, we'll get there. Here we are, Jimmy. There's Scallan, the refuge of Scottish Catholicism during the 18th century.
I must say, I'm rather surprised, because I expected a ruin of a building when I came here.
I'm afraid it's in a pretty poor state inside, and I wish the Scallan Association had some money to do it up.
That's a pity. Is this the original structure then?
No, that lay over the water, founded in 1717 when the Catholics took refuge up here after the 1715 rebellion, and they were then raided several times by the Hanoverian soldiers until after Culloden. And in 1767 they built this house.
Yes. Well, it's a very interesting place there, Edward, and I do appreciate you having brought me here, and also enjoyed the walk up through the Glen there. I want to go over to the left now. Now, I do go this way, up over the hill.
Yes, you do. You go past the round trees and up into the heather, and you've got about 400 feet to climb, and then you drop down into the left arm line.
Well, even I can manage that. Sir Edward, thanks again. Nice
Very
talking
good
to you.
to see you, Jimmy.
Bye-bye.
Good journey.
Sir Edward Peck, a charming man and very knowledgeable, despite his rather modest disclaimers. Well, that was a pretty long pull there up from the braes of Glenlivet and Scallan. That's way below me now. And this short heather, as you get higher, of course, everything grows closer to the ground. It makes walking a wee bit easier. I don't think I'm as fit for this kind of thing as I used to be. Too much time in the studio. But it's worth every step, really. We've got Ben Rinnes behind me here. Scallan, of course, away below us. Over there is Tomintoul. And for the first time, we're looking into the centre massif of the Cairngorms over there. And in fact, it doesn't look terribly high from here, but that's because I'm already up over 2,000 feet at this point. But what we're looking there is a whole range, away into the 3,000 and over, and at some points reaching 4,000 feet. So that's really high ground. In fact, you can see a couple of little patches of snow. They look small from here, probably great big sheets of snow in fact. And there is my ultimate destination over there, that hill with these kind of tors on top, these rocky tors, and that's Ben Ann. I'm coming down now into the Lecht Glen, and that building is part of the Glen's old iron workings. They dug back into the hill so that it was a tunnel rather than a shaft. You remember that on the West Highland Way, I followed a lot of the old military routes laid down by Wade and Caulfield. Well, these fellas certainly got around in Scotland because they've even been away up here, and here's the evidence for it. This stone says AD 1754, 5 companies of the 33rd Regiment of the Right Honourable Lord Charles Hay, Colonel, made the road from here to the Spey. It can be pretty hard, pretty severe in the winter. Now just imagine what it was like for these chaps all these years ago, especially when you consider that most of them, or some of them at least, would come from the milder climes of places like Kent or Sussex or Dorset. It's been really pretty hard going. But they certainly knew the road building because this modern road here follows exactly the route that they found to be best. So they certainly knew their business, and it's useful for me because I'm on my way to Tomintoul, and that's where this road takes me now. The Tomintoul Highland Games may not be the biggest games in Scotland, but they are certainly among the best, and tourists and locals alike are tremendously enthusiastic about it.
Very good field today in the hill race. Now keep the track clear, please.
The taller man there is John MacDonald, and I'll be talking to him just a wee bit later. That's Grant Anderson, 6 feet 4 inches of brawn and good nature. bridge at Delnaboe, and I'm heading into a place called Glenavon now to meet a man called Adam Watson, who works with the Institute of Terrestrial Ecology. Now that's a very fancy sounding organisation, but it means that Adam understands the land and the uses of the land, and he can explain to someone like me how a piece of ground got to be the way it is. This is the low end of Glenavon, and it all looks green and rather cosy here, but when I get up there at nearly 4,000 feet, it'll be a very different kind of picture. These are Scottish black-faced tups and real prize specimens too. The River Ann. The trick here is to focus the eyes beyond the surface of the water. Those salmon are about 2.5 to 3 feet long. Well, Cairngorms is known very much as your sort of patch, Adam, isn't it?
Great bit of country.
Oh, wonderful. But do you get into this area very much?
I occasionally come here. It's a great glen. You know, it's a lovely green glen.
Yes.
It's a very fertile place, really.
You're in a padlocked gate here, Adam.
That's right. You can take a car for a mile or two up the glen from Tomintoul, but it's a private road beyond that.
Yeah.
But it's a great place to walk. You know, there's old right away through the hills.
There's no objection to people walking through.
No, none at all.
They don't want the vehicles.
No, that's right.
We're actually quite high up here, Adam, but in spite of that, this glen has the appearance of being quite lush and green and fertile, doesn't it?
It's really green, isn't it? And one of the explanations of this is that there's a band of limestone runs through it, and that makes it fertile. And of course, it's also very sheltered. And if you're up on the hills on either side, it's brown with the heather.
It's quite different.
Quite different, aye.
I notice as we come through, Adam, there's 2 or 3 wee houses. Are these occupied or are they all derelict now?
One or two of them are occupied, but most of them are derelict. In fact, they're becoming ruinous. There were tenant farms at one time, but the people just left.
These aren't people who have been pushed out, they've just gone.
No, they're just gone.
Find another way of living.
Aye.
The River Ann has the reputation of being one of the clearest rivers in Britain, and certainly you can see it does look very, very lucid indeed. How does that come about?
It is one of the clearest rivers in the Highlands, I think, and it may be because it's coming off the granite in the Cairngorms, and also there's not a great amount of peat in the catchment.
Yeah, that's what gives most Scottish rivers their brown colour, isn't it?
That's right, but I mean, the Ann, even in a spate, is pretty clear. There's an old rhyme locally, it goes, the water of Ann, it runs so clear, with the guile of man 100 year.
That's nice. It's certainly a very beautiful river coming down through this glen here.
Aye.
This must be a near perfect day for being out there, isn't it?
Oh, it's marvellous, isn't it? Quite a bit of scent off that heather.
Aye, it's nice, isn't it? And we've got the sun brightening the colours up and a nice breeze, keep you cool.
Water sparkling there.
Superb. I'll have a seat here for a minute.
Ah, fine.
The glen really changes as we come up, doesn't it? I mean, we were talking earlier on about how lush and green it was, but it's beginning to change its character now a bit.
It's more heathery here and browner. It's much higher up, of course. And, in fact, it's grouse moor here and also red deer.
Yeah.
And you've run out of the farming as well.
That's one of these.
Oh, it's great, aye.
Snack.
But it's still quite lush. You see, you've still got bits of birchwood, and you can see still the influence of the limestone with this very rich juniper over here.
I don't think I've ever seen that much juniper all in one place before. Not in Scotland anyway.
Ah, it's fantastic, isn't it? It's really, really thick.
Yeah.
And of course you've also got bits trees here as well. It's tremendous variety in bit screes. And in fact, as you come up a glen like this, you know, it's a long glen, and every now and again you come around the corner and there's another half mile in front of you, and every one of these half miles is different.
So it doesn't seem like a long trudge,
no,
really.
tremendous variety, and this is one of the charms of a glen like this.
That's Inchrory Lodge, the centre of deer hunting on the Glenann estate. The man in the Land Rover is John MacDonald, the estate manager and keeper. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Jimmy.
How are you? Nice
Very
to
well
see you.
indeed. Yourself?
God, this is some spectacle here. How many beasts are here?
There's exactly 100 stags' heads here. That's
What-
for season's cut.
That's a season,
That's
just
the
one
season.
season.
From the middle of September to the 17th of October.
Yeah, is that pretty good?
That's very good. Yes, we had a very excellent year this year.
How big is the estate? What's the
The
acreage?
estate is 42,000 acres.
And how many animals would that carry?
We have a Red Deer Commission count here about every 10 years. And at the last count, there was approximately 1,800 deer on it, which is quite a lot of deer.
That's quite thick on the ground, but then it's good ground
Well,
here,
it's actually
isn't it?
good ground. We have a lot of limestone in this ground here, which is exceptionally good for deer, of course. And that's what makes the antlers of good quality.
Is there anyone here that you would call a really good head?
Not really, because we don't really, the state policy is that we don't really shoot any good heads at all.
Oh, I see.
No, we leave the good heads to breed with the hinds, and once they get old, that's the time when we shoot them. We try and shoot the weak ones, the old ones and the poor ones, like I've got on the fence here.
I see.
Irregular shaped heads, the ugly type of head you can understand, Jimmy, and keep the good ones.
And can you tell to look at an animal's head for when it's aging?
Oh yes, most definitely. Very easy to pick up an old stag. His antler formation changes quite dramatically as he gets old. The points sort of get much shorter and very much more irregular.
Have you got one that you could illustrate that?
Certainly, I've got one along here I can show you if you'd like to come along.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
This is the head I was telling you about, Jimmy.
I see. Now, what tells you that that's an aging beast?
Well, there's 2 or 3 points here. This point here is called the brow point. And as you see, it's drooping very, very low over his eye, as opposed to this animal here, where his brows are coming up.
It's rising, I see.
That's one point. And this small point here, Jimmy, that's a sure indication of age. Last year, this point would have been probably exactly the same length as that.
I see.
Now next year, if he'd lived, he'd probably only have 1 point in that. So that's what we call an old stag with a head going back.
Yes. If you hadn't shot this animal at that stage, it probably would have died in the winter anyway.
Absolutely. So the gentleman shot that stag with a good bit of sport, a good bit of money went to the estate, and there was no loss at all. So that's
and probably saved the animal a much more miserable death in the winter.
That's absolutely right.
This one here, this is, that's what they call an imperial, isn't it? That's 14 points.
That's correct.
So I would have taken that for a good head.
Well, you see, the first head I showed you here is wide, got some beauty attached to it.
I see.
This head here is what we would call a very ugly head, a very goat-like head, a very upright head, and very, very narrow. This is the type of stag that we're trying to preserve and leave on the hill, some with some beauty about it. So that's exactly the reason for shooting that stag there.
And that's the reason he was allowed to get so old.
Absolutely, yeah, that's right, absolutely.
Yeah, it's these little bits of detailed knowledge that make it so interesting for somebody like me, John. The ground of the estate, we're getting higher and higher now as we go along.
That's right. This is kind of deer stalking ground we're going to here. This is the sort of first part of being on here. But over that top, of course, the ground gets very high, up to about 3,500 feet, where the stags really go in the summertime. But this time of year, of course, with the colder weather, now they're drifting down to a bit lower ground. But this is the start of the route up to being on here.
Yes. We seem to be coming up past a whole line of grouse pots there, John.
That's right, Jimmy. That's a very good drive that we have on the estate here.
The grouse pretty important to the estate then?
Very important indeed. We let out about 3 weeks of our grouse shooting here. Quite a few continentals come across to shoot our Scottish red grouse.
Yeah. These patches on the hill behind us there, you know, a lot of people see these and don't realise what causes them. Maybe you could explain that for us.
Yes, well, we burn these patches in the early spring. It's all what we call controlled heather burning.
What's the purpose of it?
Well, the purpose of burning that is to provide young tender shoots for the grouse to feed on. You see this long rank heather here, Jimmy, this tall heather. Grouse is only a small bird. Can't actually reach up to get at the tender shoots at the top of this
I see.
heather. So that's
so you burn off the old grouse and then you get the fresh young growth for the next year?
We burn off the old heather. In a few years' time, the young growth comes up and provides very, very good food for the grouse.
Yeah.
But you also need long heather, rank heather as we call it, quite close by to provide shelter for the bird as well.
So that's their shelter and nesting, and the short stuff is their feed.
Correct, you've got it, John. That's absolutely right.
John, the business of the Glenavon estate is divided between the salmon, the deer and the grouse. Which is the most demanding for you?
Oh, the grouse is the most demanding by far.
Why is that?
There's a lot of work involved in producing a covey of grouse on the 12th of August. For instance, with all these grouse butts to repair, roadworks, heather burning as we spoke about a few minutes ago, very time consuming work. So there's a lot of work involved.